What's up, HyperFast Nation? On this episode of the HyperFast Mortgage Blitz, I am talking with Dustin Brown, the one and only Dustin Brown, about the differences between correspondent lenders and brokers and the impact it could have on you as a buyer or your buyer clients if you're an agent. So stay tuned. All right, Dustin Brown.
We're back.
A lot of different types of lenders out there. There's banks, which
Right.
I think everyone knows. Like, those are the guys that take deposits and lend. Most lending, though, I think happens, at least for the agents on our team, our buyer clients, tends to be through brokers or correspondent lenders. And not a lot of people know the difference between them. So what is it? Which one are you, and why is that better?
Good question. Yeah, a lot of people don't know. A lot of people just think everybody's a mortgage broker. So the difference is a mortgage broker is taking an application from a client, and they're basically sending it out to a bunch of different investors, right? So they're going and passing it out to those different entities. A correspondent lender is taking an application from a client, and a correspondent lender is going to underwrite, process, and fund the loan themselves. They don't service the loan, but they will do everything up to that point. So that's a major difference, right? If you're a client.
So a correspondent's going to actually fund it.
Right.
And then they're going to go do what the broker does and get it off their books, basically.
Right. So
how does that affect the buyer?
yeah, there's a major advantage to working with a correspondent lender because the correspondent lender has control of the underwriting, of the processing. A mortgage broker, they may have different options, but once they send the information to whoever the investor is, they're now basically working with their underwriting department and whatever company, they have,
Yeah,
So
and
there's less
on the
control
flip,
there.
so I've worked with both, and just to tell people a little personal experience, I've worked with both, and last year we had a deal on one of our condo deals. So we've got over 100 condo units in our development pipeline. One of those, which I really like this project, 10-unit building, we had it lined up with a lender that someone brokered for us, and it was through this certain bank, and most of our interactions prior to that had been with the broker. Then they were like, hey, do you like this loan? Yes. Okay, now they put us in charge of this bank, and it didn't make it through their underwriting.
Right.
So luckily the seller agreed for an extension. We found another bank to do it. But once it was with that underwriting department, that broker, he had a relationship there and could give some input, but it was really out of his hands.
Right.
So I think that's, to me, you may think, well, at the end of the day, they both send it to someone else, but having your own funds and your own underwriting team to get that deal closed is all the difference in the world.
Absolutely. And, there's scenarios that come up with clients, right? There's late payments, there's credit issues, there's a lot of different, they say every client is a snowflake, a fingerprint, right? So, being able to they're not the same. Yeah, exactly. You got that. Being able to have an in-house underwriting team, you're in direct communication with them, right? These are people that you're working with on a daily basis. You know them. You have their phone number, right? So it's easier to communicate with them if there is a unique scenario, which we know happens a lot, right? So, and then on the same side, on the upside, if you're a client, it helps. But if you're an agent, right, a buyer agent, working with people that you know and trust, that you've done this with many, many times and have control, over the process, is also going to help you and help, your pipeline and everything run smoothly, and that's what we want, right?
Is there any advantage to going with the broker?
A broker has a lot of options, right? They're going to have a ton of different rates, a ton of different banks that they work with. sometimes if you do, like, so for instance, if you can go directly to Fannie Mae or Freddie Mac, if an interest rate is 0.1% higher and you're going directly to Fannie Mae, it might be worth it to do it because a different investor with a lower rate might have different underwriting requirements, right? So, they might ask for more tax returns, or, just they might dig deeper into the scenario, where if you go straight to Freddie or Fannie, that underwriting might be easier. So it might be worth paying that extra. And a correspondent lender can work directly with Freddie and Fannie.
Yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head there. Sometimes the rate can be better with a broker. The promised rate. Exactly. The problem is, there could be points or this fee or that fee or something that gets thrown on the end that they need to, or you could just lose it, like the deal I had, right?
Yeah.
Or it doesn't make it through underwriting. So if you've got a great investment property, if you've got a great home that you want to move yourself or your family into, and you're talking 3% versus 3 1/8 or even 3 1/4, in my mind, the risk of not losing the deal is better than that potential like 1/8 of a point that maybe you'll save with some of these brokers out there.
I'll add one more thing that we're starting to do next year. In a few weeks, it's TBD addresses, right? So usually when you send a deal completely into underwriting, you already have a contract and you're wanting to move forward. If we have a complex scenario, say a business owner, somebody that has a couple different tax returns, whatever it is, we can actually submit and do a hard underwrite on that client before you even get to the point where you have a ratified contract on a deal. So being able to do that, knowing that you're walking in and feeling really good is, like you said, getting the deal done. That's, you don't make any money on a deal you don't get done, right? So
you don't, or, if you're the buyer,
right,
you miss out on the home. So I think this is an extremely important topic, and correspondent lenders that can get the underwriting done and control the funding, just give you or your clients such an advantage when buying a home. Maybe on like a refi where I already owned it, maybe that's where I would take the risk of the deal falling through to potentially save 1/8 of a point. But when it's a purchase, when you definitely got to get it closed, I think it's definitely worth it to go for a correspondent. So if you're listening and you've got clients, if you're an agent or if you're a buyer, looking for a home loan, hook up with Dustin. Go to hyperfastmortgage.com and learn what him and the USA Mortgage team can do for you. We'll see you next time.
Subscribe to us if you want to make sure you get the latest and greatest HyperFast shows. And remember, we love reviews. We hope you enjoyed the show, and we will see you next time.
Hey guys, thanks for sticking around to the end. I hope you enjoyed that video, and if you want to see more, click right here. And if you want 100 real estate tips from my best-selling book, click right here to download them instantly. And if you're new to this channel, click below to subscribe and turn on post notifications so you don't miss out. And leave some comments about what you think on the videos.